Hello everybody, my name is Sai Burley and I'm here to show you how to iron your dress shirt. So a couple of key points when it comes to your dress shirt and the materials that you're going to need for this activity. So number one is you need your green shirt, and a couple of care items for your green shirt is make sure that you check out your collar every once in a while. These collars have the tendency of getting really dirty, and they're able to be noticed when you're not wearing a tie. So when you're in the V-neck formation, kind of like how my dress shirt is. So make sure that when you wash it, maybe put a little spray and wash on it or baking soda and scrub it in and take care of that, because this is like the number one prime zone for being dirty. A couple of other things too when you're ironing your shirt is take off your epaulets and make sure that your flaps are open, as you can see. Okay, and make sure too that your hands are clean. As you're like going around your uniform and touching it, you want to make sure that your hands are clean, so if you have anything on your hands, you're not trailing that all over. So that's item number one. Item number two that you're going to need is a pressing cloth. And the reason why this is so important, and I'm going to go ahead and show you, is a couple minutes ago I was just testing out my iron, and as you can see, it has burnt the pillowcase or my pressing cloth, and you wouldn't want that to happen to your shirt. So the pressing cloth acts as a barrier between your uniform item and the panel of your iron. So if there's any debris on it, rust or like water buildup on it, then that way it gets onto your pressing cloth and it doesn't ruin your uniform. So I like to get started with the sleeves first, and only because, as you can see, we're moving the shirt around and we're going to be putting in different places. So if you do the sleeves first, that way once you iron the rest of the shirt, you're not putting more creases in it for you just to get out later. So a good rule of thumb when you are trying to find the center of your crease is the epaulets here. The crease wants to go right down the center. So if you take where the epaulets would go, the slip-ons, check to make sure that everything's all lined up here, nice and even down here, even down here. Place the shirt down. Okay, this is where your crease is going to go. So I kind of just manipulate everything to make sure that my crease is there. I smooth it out. I make sure that the back is smoothed out too, so I'm not putting any additional wrinkles in it. And then I spray it with a little bit of water, and now I'm going to put my pressing cloth down. Just over the sleeve that I'm going to do. Make sure that that's all smoothed out, and now I'm going to iron. So make sure that your iron is set according to the proper temperature. If you have a high, medium, low, if you have a wool, silk, cotton setting, you don't want it too high because that's just going to burn the shirt. So, even if you have it a little bit lower, that's okay, because you're going to be going over and pressing anyway. You can add a little bit of pressure as you push down and go from side to side here. Okay. I'm going to put this down, and now, as you can see, nice crease right down the center of the sleeve. There's not too many wrinkles. So now I'm going to position the shirt on the ironing board so that now I can do the front portion of it where the pockets are. Like earlier, I've undone all of the buttons, and I'm going to neatly place it over the pointed end of the ironing board and just rub my hands over it to get any wrinkles out. Okay, I like to always mist with a little bit of water before I go. Okay, again, I'm going to apply my pressing cloth over it. Okay, you can also use steam as you go through and do this. Okay, just go up and down Okay. Some steam. Okay, now when I get up to the pockets, I flip it up just to check that there's no lines in it. I add a little bit of steam. Make sure everything's covered. And away I go. Okay. And you can use your hand as a guide to feel where the pockets end and begin. And if, you know, keep checking, lifting up your pressing cloth to see if you need to get any wrinkles out, apply steam or water. Okay. So you'll notice on the back of the dress shirt that there's two pleats on either side, and kind of where the shoulder blades are, and those can be a little bit tricky to iron. A tip is you don't need that crease to go all the way to the end of the shirt. You only need it to go about 2 inches from the seam line there. So like I said, put your shirt down. I like to use the flat end of my ironing board for this part, not the pointy end. And I've laid my shirt across it. I'm just going to apply some water here and mist it just to get any of those pesky wrinkles out. I'm going to apply my pressing cloth, and I start with where that pleat is and kind of feel it out and iron that spot first. Applying a little bit of pressure and then removing my pressing cloth to take a look and then going again. Okay, it looks good. So now I'm gonna put my pressing cloth across. Okay, and now I'm gonna continue ironing the rest of the shirt. Moving down. Okay, you get the gist of it now. The other thing too is if we're not wearing ties, you're gonna want to make sure that you provide a V-neck shape for your shirt. So if you know that ahead of time, you know you're not gonna be wearing a tie, you can place your shirt on the ironing board like this, and then fold it to the first button in a V formation, and then iron it down, okay? That way it has that nice flat crisp look to it. You can use some steam, you can use some water. Sometimes I even have like a spray bottle on hand and I spray like the parts if I have like a really bad crease that I can't get out. Water does that. If you have train tracks in your uniform, spraying it with a lot of water helps lift those really difficult wrinkles out. And then I always like to finish it off by doing the buttons. The side where the button holds is always the easier because you can just rub your iron all the way down, all the way up. And then if it's the side with the buttons, the tip of your iron fits nicely in between. You can go all the way around it. Okay, hopefully you found this video useful. It can be tricky sometimes navigating an ironing board, a pressing cloth, and your shirt. But once you kind of get into the swing of things, and if you hang your uniform properly and take good care of it, it becomes a very quick process.